I'm very pleased to introduce Craig Walker, who is VP Cloud Services Europe North at Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise, or ALE. Craig will be talking about how to deliver an integrated smart campus. And as I say, there'll be an opportunity for Q&A at the end of the session, so please submit your questions via the chat function. And with that, I will hand over to Craig. Craig.
Thank you very much, Andy. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to what is the last session of what hopefully has been a very interesting 3 days for you. I am in my home office, as pretty much everybody else will be, I'm sure. And although I've put the video on, you'll see that the light is behind me, which means that you don't get to see my face, which is probably a benefit to all. So with that, I'd like to just give you an overview of where we are going, what we're doing with our Rainbow CPaaS platform, allow you to get a flavor of what it's all about, and also to give you some hints about what can be done with it. And, you know, as an industry, we've talked about UCaaS or UC now for, I guess, 20-something years. And the only thing unified about unified communications is using the word unified in the title. All of the elements have been there for everybody to use, and we've tried as an industry, the vendors have tried to lump everything together. And obviously we've been so successful that things like WhatsApp and Shadow IT have taken over. So if you look at how you can differentiate between all of us vendors, and when we talk either UC or UCaaS, we all do the same things. So on a feature functionality basis, there is nothing to differentiate what we can do. The question is, what do you do with it, and how do you do it? So if I look at from a business standpoint, from a management standpoint, the number one issue for the exec level is trust, and whether or not they can trust an application. And there's been lots in the media over the past couple of weeks about things not being quite as secure as they might be for a number of different vendors out there. But from an IT perspective, the major concerns are really about how do you handle all of the IoT features and functions and devices and sensors that are going to hit the network. So there's going to be 25 billion of these by the end of next year. And how do you bring AI and machine learning and the new technologies into your environment successfully, and be able to manage it with the very few people that you have available? So the way that Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise approaches this is almost from a unique position, and the ability to deliver this holistic approach is something that very few other people would even claim to be able to do, but many will actually do elements of it. So hopefully you had the opportunity to listen to my colleague Chris Derham earlier this week talking about how we deliver the underlying networks and the IoT containment and delivering the IoT connectivity securely across those networks. And we can move all the way from that ground position, if you will, into the cloud, and give you that capability to do the connectivity whilst delivering services from the cloud through SaaS models and OpEx models, as well as being able to leverage what you already have in terms of the real-time communications that you have in place today, whether they are our own real-time communications, so the Omni PCX Enterprise and Omni PCX Office, or PBXs that we've been delivering from a premise basis or our cloud-based cloud-based offerings, but also OEM. So other vendors, PBXs, we can utilize that to deliver the audio capability. Above that, then, from a cloud perspective, we have a CPaaS platform, which is a communication platform as a service that enables us to provide the connectivity, the integration, and the unique capabilities that we'll talk about over the course of the next 15 minutes or so to give you some time to have some questions. So Rainbow as a platform, what does it really do? Very simply, all it does is connect all of the devices, the sensors, the cameras, the machines, the PCs, the people behind those PCs to the processes that you have in place or that you want to put in place, and it joins the dots to be able to deliver a service. And this is a very different concept in terms of when you think about what UC is, and it's just a way of letting people talk, in inverted commas. This is more about being able to deliver that integration between those people and the equipment and the devices that they have at their disposal to be able to deliver a service. And really what we're trying to do is get out of the way of people getting on with their lives and delivering what they need to do. So if we look at what the CPaaS, easy for me to say, the CPaaS platform is, obviously it does the UCaaS piece. And as I mentioned, the UCaaS, we do everything that you would expect of a UCaaS application with hopefully a consumer grade user experience. So it's not a typical enterprise hodgepodge of stuff. This is a unified client that is across all of your devices, your PCs, your mobiles, your desk phones, but it is an intuitive and engaging experience that enables you to have a consumer grade level of functionality and experience, but brings with it the enterprise audit trail and oversight that you need to be able to deliver this as a service. We also deliver with this the contact center as a service to be able to handle both the internal requirements but also external requirements to have that customer engagement, and video as a service. So to be able to do video conferencing easily, quickly, and simply, and intuitively, so you don't spend the first 15 minutes of the conference trying to make the thing work. But along with that, we have the integration into the applications and the business applications. But with those business needs, things like wayfinding, if we're in a healthcare environment, to be able to provide to patients a map of where they are in the car park to where they need to be to get their orthodontic work done, whatever it is that they need to do, how to find the way through that hospital to visit their relatives, whatever it is that they're working on, to bring into that workflow the bots, the AI, the natural language guidance and processing that's required to make it easy for people to experience and to develop, and also to bring in with it specific applications that we can provide as an ALE application over and above those capabilities. Now, what the CPaaS allows us to do is not have to develop a new application that we have to then provide to you, but if you have existing applications and existing tools, we can provide the integration into those tools to enhance those capabilities. So you may have a university app already, that you engage with your students, we can now provide the real-time communications to that, to provide the wayfinding, the geolocation, the ability to add safety and security, the health and safety aspects I'll talk about in a moment, but able to give you some level of oversight as well as an ability to add new capabilities. And where this becomes even more important is when we add in the IoT and be able to bring all of this together so that, for example, if you have an issue on campus, you can turn cameras on, you can listen for audible alarms, and then be able to react quickly, efficiently, and to the right place at the right time, but also communicate with people through the other devices like the whiteboards, the smart boards, and say which way they need to go to get out or if they need to stay in. So you can give the context around that communication as well. So this, in a nutshell, is what the Rainbow platform will enable us to deliver. And you can see, yes, we can deliver UC across this, but this is only one small aspect of what we're able to do with the CPaaS platform that is Rainbow. So what I'd like to just talk about now is how we use Rainbow in delivering that workflow, in delivering those capabilities. Now, there's three core values that we make sure that anything that we deliver from and through Rainbow has at least one of these elements. When we talk about time management, this is really about managing the impatience that people have today. They don't want it now, they want it now. It's something that if we can ease that, the way of having a process, things like if we need to register before a lecture, if we can manage that quickly, simply, and take the pain away of that, that's really what the time management's around. The feeling safe, that's both from a personal point, but also from your data point as well as, and that part is also the data integrity. So that comfort of feeling secure in where you are, what you're doing, making sure that there is no way for swapping data, swapping files, that nobody's going to be able to copy it, nobody's going to be able to insert a virus into that flow, nobody's going to be able to abuse those chat mechanisms so that you can have the oversight if there is any cyberbullying. These are the sorts of things that we are integrating into the development of Rainbow. Now, I mentioned the workflows, and Rainbow as a platform delivers on the workflow, and is the underpinning of how we are able to deliver this workflow. And the workflow is simply a framework that gives us the ability to deliver that process. And it starts with a trigger. You have some rules that you apply when that trigger is set, and then it delivers some actions that are predetermined by those rules of how you handle that particular alert mechanism. So if you have an alarm, an event, it might be a door opening, it might be a lecture starting, it might be somebody is on campus that shouldn't be, then that trigger sets off the rules. Those are predefined, they're contextual, so it depends where you are, who you are, what you're doing as to what happens with those rules. And then you have some actions of how you react to that. And this could be, for example, if it was a medical emergency, you can have a call to the ambulance that goes straight to the ambulance. But then obviously people within the administration need to know that that has happened. And you can link this together through Rainbow so that you know that that call has been made, but you also then need to tell the security guys that an ambulance is coming, where to direct the ambulance personnel to the student or staff member that is in need of assistance. And you can also add AI into this, so there doesn't need to be any human intervention. Now, if I start at the bottom of the slide, if there is a multinational environment within the student body, you can actually have a call transcription and a live translation so that they can do this in their natural language if it is early in their tenure, so that they can be comfortable talking to the emergency services in their own language, so that they make sure that nothing is actually lost in translation. You can turn on video. You can get face recognition to see who it is that's actually talking, to see if their intent is there in terms of how people are acting. And in one respect, whether or not this was meant to be called in the first place. So one of our customers in France, they're filtering the pocket calls to the emergency services point of presence, which is between 85 and 90% of all calls. So the ability to filter those calls out means that the agents are able to deal more effectively with the calls that are real. So if I look at the case of the campus safety, those triggers could be a smoke alarm, intruder, a door open that shouldn't be opened, or a button press. You have the rules in place to say, okay, how do you identify the location? Who is it? Who needs to know about this? Who are the ones that have to react, and who's on duty at this particular time to react? Where are those people? And then you can actually deliver the actions, and this could be to evacuate if it's a fire, or to do a lockdown if there is an intruder on campus. If people are to evacuate, what's the right way to get out? Do you go through stairwell A or stairwell B? And you can deliver that information to not just the apps that on the phones that the students carry, but also to the smart boards, to the PCs, so that you can give people where they are, the right way out, and the correct route out. And you can notify a whole host of different populations and actors within that environment, so that you can join together the dispatcher, the first responders, the administration, and the students and or the faculty that are managing those students, to enable you to provide that safe evacuation in that case. So if I look at the components of how we make this happen, and this comes back to the point that I made earlier about taking an holistic approach, being able to deliver from a network all the way through. So you have your IoT elements, and these can be anybody's IoT elements. You have the people that need to react, and your processes that are in place today, or the ones that you're adding. And all of this is within your own environment. We also, from a cloud perspective, are able to integrate into all of the SaaS platforms. We give you the ability to integrate the AI and the machine learning and deliver that from the cloud. We deliver the gateways and the hubs for the data feeds and the IoT. And we put all of this through the workflow engine to be able to then integrate that into your management applications, things like ITSM of ServiceNow, whether or not this is a learning management system to get the details of the people that you need to communicate with. So all of these sorts of things are delivered from the cloud to augment what you have on the premise today. And if we look at some of the other examples, if it was a network capability, if somebody's put a new AP into the network or a new piece of networking switching equipment, you can manage all of that from the cloud. If you need to provide some maintenance, a fridge, for example, if the temperature has gone too high, you need to have a maintenance guy go. If it's in a medical part of the university, that might mean that those vaccines, if we're being topical, become useless. So you need to get over quick, you need to understand what's gone wrong, and you need to be able to get the maintenance people there, but you need to be able to manage that. And the workflow engine would not only create the work job, but also enable you to manage and administer all of that type of thing already in place without having to have human intervention. So these are the sorts of things that we can do from an admin side, from a student side, the ease of registration that I mentioned earlier. Just by the locations, QR code, you've got them registered to that particular lecture without having to have the lecturer take a roll call. So that was a very, very brief introduction to the Rainbow platform. This is something that we make ourselves. We build it ourselves. We operate it for you. We support it 24/7, and we co-create with our partners and with our customers all of the integrations that are required to be able to enable you to deliver those new business processes that you require. There is a link here to enable you to go and have a look at the UC piece, which is the openrainbow.com. If you or you swap the www with hub.openrainbow.com, that will bring you onto the development side, which is free, open access to you if you want to go and have a play as to what's available. We have 5 SDKs, 200 plus APIs that you can go and have a play with. With that, I'll say thank you for your attention, and I'll open up for any questions that you may have.
Thanks very much for that, Craig. That was really interesting. If you leave your video on, we'll see if anyone has got any questions. There haven't been any questions while you've been talking. I have a couple of questions for you, if you don't mind, just while people are thinking about their questions. The first is, I think you've sort of touched on in that last couple of minutes, but you've talked about integration with SaaS platforms or SaaS services and other applications. Is that something from the sounds of it, that is something customers can do for themselves? They don't have to come to you to do that integration. What kinds
Correct.
of skills? What kinds of skills do they need? They need to code stuff, do they?
Yes, and depending on what they're trying to do, they will need skills either in the mobile side or on the C#, JSON. There's a number of so the web, desktop, C#, REST, and the mobile iOS and Android. But this is something that we can do for them, or we have developer partners that can help, so that they can actually create that integration and to be able to deliver the services. But we open up everything in terms of the sandbox that we provide them. We give you access to the documentation, and you're more than welcome to have a play, but we will give you the support as well and help you through what's required to enable you to deliver the services.
Okay, thanks. Brilliant. There is now a question from Judy Angel. Are there any universities, and I'm guessing she means any universities in the UK, but it would be interesting to know numbers more widely, I guess, deploying this technology at the moment or have deployed this technology?
So the quick answer is yes. There are some, we are starting to deploy here in the UK. We have some more mature deployments in both the continent, in Europe North. Obviously, France is our home market, so we have a lot more in France, but also in the US. So one of our main markets in the US is education, and we have a lot there around the security, the campus safety, which is really important for them for hopefully something that never happens here in the UK. But there's the mass notification and the integration of gunshot sensors.
Cool, thanks. I note that you haven't mentioned any names of places, but I presume if people get in contact with you outside of this forum, you can give them more details.
Absolutely, yes.
It's
we have with us this afternoon on the attendee list Sean Sen, who is our key education contact, and he would know many more of the actual names here in the UK than I do, and I didn't want to mention any that are not public yet.
Okay, cool. One final question from me, and it sort of touches on the last question. Clearly from your talk, you sell these products into various different sectors. You talked about health and emergency services and various others. Are there any, do universities approach this space differently from other sectors? Are there special requirements that you have to deal with? Are there oddities or unusual features in the way they approach you as a supplier?
Yeah, and that's actually one of our key things. So we go to market in a very much verticalized approach for exactly those reasons, because although, you think of telephony or UC as a very horizontal technology, every different vertical have their own specific requirements and their specific needs to be able to deliver services. So when we have a particular key vertical, and education is one of our key verticals, as I mentioned, we do everything from soup and nuts all the way up to the top in terms of our development. It's not just a marketing pitch, it is the whole development from the very start is about addressing those key concerns and making it relevant to that particular environment. And for example, if we talk about the emergency mass notification, the way that we would deliver that in an education scenario would probably be different than we did it in a manufacturing scenario. So it's very much targeted around what you use today, leveraging that, and being able to bring the context of the communications into that environment to make sure that we provide that safety and that time management and that data integrity.
Cool, perfect. Okay, look, we're sort of running out of time, and there haven't been any other questions in the chat. So I think what we'll do is wrap up now. I just want to say thanks very much to Craig for that presentation. To everyone, we now have a 30-minute break, or slightly over a 30-minute break. If you could be back in Adobe Connect by just before 2 o'clock for our talk by Amazon Web Services, that would be great. I'll see you in about 30 minutes. Thanks very much.